Hi there, it's Michael Bovey, your debt settlement expert here at Resolve, and I want to talk to you about a very important topic, debts to include or to not include in your settlement plan. So it is the case that you've logged in, you've built a debt settlement plan, you're engaged in the process, and you can look in your profile and you might see some accounts that we said not recommended or not included. The reason is sometimes it's too small of a balance. So let's start there. Small balances are not a great idea to do settlement with. If you're already late and that ship sailed and you already have the credit damage and you're charged off and it's been 6 or more months since you stopped paying, it's okay. You have to settle at this point if that's your goal. But if you have it to not do and stay current on small balances, here's why you would. So let's take a $500 balance as an example. If you stop paying on a $500 balance and you miss a payment, you're going to have a $38 late fee. Okay. Well, the next month, what if they lowered your available credit limit to what you owed, and so you couldn't use the card anymore, but they kept it open for you in case this was just a temporary setback? Well, the next month's $38 late fee is now going to put you over the limit, and you'll have a $32 over the limit fee. Okay, so your balance is growing over month by these fees. And then, of course, the interest that you're not paying in January rolls into February. February's interest you didn't pay rolls into March. So a $500 balance can balloon to $1,100, for example, by the time you're able to settle it. And then small balances, usually on a percentage basis, they don't sell as well as larger balances. And so what could have, a $10,000 balance and a debt collector going, who can't come up with an extra $1,000? Well, that sounds ridiculous because somebody's financially strapped. $1,000 is like a huge mountain to climb. But that same debt collector talking about an $1,100 balance, they might say, who can't come up with an extra $100? So on a percentage basis, the settlements aren't going to be as good usually on smaller balances. So this $1,100 gets settled for $600 or $700. That's more than what you owed in the beginning, right? So mathematically, there's not a benefit. But if you have it to do and you leave those out and you continue to make your minimum $25 payment or something, and that stays positive for you and ongoing and they don't close it on you, you've got that history, you bring that account into your new life without all the other credit card debt that you settled once all the smoke clears. If you have those positive maintained accounts, no matter how small, those actually, in my experience over all these years of doing this, help that person's credit score bounce back faster than somebody who did not have any current balances that they kept going on while they were going through settlement with others. So kind of a benefit. Another thing to avoid is doing settlement usually with the same bank that you have a checking and savings account with. A lot of times that's going to be a credit card or a loan. It might be your largest balance. So it doesn't make sense to not do it, right? So you actually almost always in my career, I'm recommending people to just change banks, right? There's plenty of competitive banks for your checking and savings account and even online banks, right? So if you have it to do and it makes sense for you to do, you might just want to close. I mean, it's like really a hassle. You got to do all your online pay and all your auto drafts and everything and redo them. But it's probably worth it so you don't run into a problem later settling an account with the same bank that has visibility into all of your deposits and all your bills. And you might be in the red every month and you think that's a benefit to you. Why wouldn't they still settle with me? It still shows you have regular income. Somebody who has regular income, they might categorize at a higher settlement. So it actually costs you money to try and maintain that relationship. If it's a small balance, great. It meets the small balance rule. But if it's a larger balance and part of your larger balance it's almost always going to make sense to change banks. Something else is working with co-borrowers. If you have a loan or a credit card and it's with a co-borrower, they're going to be impacted. If it's already on their credit, you fall late, 30, 60, 90 days late, it's going to impair their credit. So you want to be very open in communicating with the co-borrower about the fact that, hey, I can't pay. I'm going to fall behind. It's my only choice. This is my plan. I've got a plan, so on and so forth. Now, you might find that co-borrower, because of your open and honesty, the timing is bad because they're trying to get a credit or finance goal through, and this is going to impede that. And so they might work with you, or they might just work with you anyway, right? But if it's going to impact their goals, I would be personally motivated to try and work with trying to maintain that so I can get over my goal or try and bail you out in some other way. You never know. And it's the right thing to do to let them know that their credit can be impaired anyway. So be very aware of any kind of co-borrower, and sometimes you'll just leave it out. Sometimes it's just not something you're going to do. And then you've got these small regional local banks with only 3 brick and mortar branches, or a small tri-state credit union, something with 35 locations. These guys, a lot of the time, don't settle well. These national credit unions like Navy Fed and USAA, they're massive organizations, and they act very much the same as a national bank like a Chase or a Citi or a B of A in their recovery goals and their settlement percentages and their collection behavior. But the smaller the bank, the more they might skip the massive collection apparatus that we have here in the United States and only just go right to attorneys, local attorneys, right? And really quickly too. And their settlements aren't that great, right? So they might maybe give you a 20% discount, and they might have a team of their personnel that only meet once a month, not a robust collection and recovery department across many cities like big banks, but more like, oh, okay, we get together once a month, this teller, this manager, and this VP, and we discuss any of the options, settlement options that we have on certain accounts that have offers out. That's how small these organizations and these systems can be. And the deals just aren't that great. So sometimes it is the case that you would leave some of these accounts out on purpose and try and maintain those relationships. That's actually something you can bring up with your counselor. In other videos, you should know by now that you are assigned a specific account manager, a counselor that is here to guide you from soup to nuts, from start to finish throughout your entire debt settlement journey. And rather than tap into them as things go, like in the letters and everything like that, in the beginning stages, like I love to do this. When I'm an account manager, I want to make sure that somebody understands the build of their program, the design of it, why we're going to do certain things when we're going to do them, why we're not going to do certain things when we're not going to do them, so that they understand that they have choices, that not all accounts have to be included and why, right? And so this is an important cue for you, if you haven't done this already, is to schedule a time to talk to your counselor, or any time you click on a help tab in your profile, it's tied to them. So any message that you send is going to go to them. You don't necessarily have to pick up the phone, but you can get clarity and you can ask questions in certain, like, should I do this? Should I do that? Would it be better to pay? Blah, blah, blah. Inside of your Resolve profile. It's designed to help you no matter where you're at, no matter what time of day. So as you engage in different kinds of settlements and or falling behind in order to do settlements, you also want to be aware that you can prevent some other damage from an authorized user, right? So, and this goes both ways. This is something that, if just take my wife and I for an example. If she has me on some of her accounts as an authorized user, but is not having anything to do with the debt settlement plan on her accounts, but I am, and I have her as an authorized user on some of my accounts, I want us both off of each other's authorized users. Again, this is early stage planning. If you're already way late and that ship sailed and your authorized user already has their credit damaged, you can just, settling is going to help them, settling is going to help you. But if you have it to pre-plan, I would remove all authorized users from your accounts because it can impair their credit. And then the reason I would want her to take me off of her credit cards is that it makes me look like I have available credit. It makes me look less like I'm in a hardship. It makes me look like I've got options still and I'm keeping payments current, but they're not mine, right? And so I would rather have those removed and use that later after all the settlements are done, have her add me back on as an authorized user so I can inherit that depth and credit history. And that's a nice little trick to actually help your credit recover faster after the settlement smoke clears. So if you have it to do to make those changes, you'll want to look at it. And I will see you on the next video.